Toyota just did something in China that almost nobody in the industry expected. The company that spent years being called too slow and too cautious. The same company that refused to sign the global pledge to phase out combustion engines when every other major automaker lined up to commit, quietly invested 14.6 billion yuan to build its own EV operation inside the world's most competitive electric vehicle market. Not a partnership, not a joint venture, a wholly owned facility. Toyota's name, Toyota's control, Toyota's bet. And here's what almost nobody in the industry connected. This is the exact same company that China's EV industry spent the last 3 years treating as a cautionary tale. The legacy automaker that missed the software shift, fell behind on local development, and watched its China market share erode, while BYD and a dozen other companies rewrote what a car is supposed to be. Everyone agreed on what Toyota's next move would be. It would catch up slowly, adapt carefully, launch a few competitive EVs, and try to stabilize. That's not what happened. Instead, Toyota spent those same years quietly assembling something the industry wasn't watching. A China-centered development ecosystem built around local engineers, Chinese technology partners, BYD battery integration, and a development organization designed to move at China's speed, not Japan's. The 14.6 billion yuan Shanghai announcement isn't Toyota finally reacting to China's EV revolution. It may be the moment the industry realized it had been watching the wrong story. Toyota itself describes China as a highly advanced electrification market where battery electric vehicles make up a high proportion of new car sales. That sentence matters more than it sounds. A company that still believed it could compete in China the old way, ship a Japanese design, adapt it locally, trust the brand, wouldn't say that. Instead, Toyota is acknowledging that China has already moved to a different level. And once Toyota accepted that, everything else started changing. Back in 2023, Toyota reorganized its largest Chinese R&D operation into the Intelligent Electromobility R&D Center, IEM, by Toyota China. The name wasn't the important part. The structure was. Toyota pulled engineers from FAW Toyota, GAC Toyota, and BYD Toyota EV Technology into one unified development organization. The purpose Toyota gave this new structure reveals exactly how much had changed. Develop EVs locally, work with local suppliers, reduce costs, and build technology specifically for China's customers. Toyota wasn't just redesigning its cars, it was redesigning how those cars were created. That's more than adaptation. It's Toyota changing where many of its China-focused products are developed, and bringing Chinese engineers and partners much closer to the center of that process. Toyota is no longer relying only on products developed somewhere else and then adapted for China. It's building a much larger development process inside China itself. And once you see that structural shift, the Shanghai announcement stops looking like a reaction. It starts looking like the latest move in a strategy that was already well underway. But here's what most coverage missed entirely. The IEM restructuring changed where Toyota develops its China vehicles. What came next changed something even bigger. It changed what Toyota was willing to build into them. The BZ7 is the clearest evidence. This car wasn't designed in Japan and adapted for China. It was developed locally by GAC, Guangzhou Toyota, and IEM by Toyota China, combining Toyota's manufacturing strengths with what Toyota itself calls China's advanced technology. Toyota isn't describing this as a Japanese engineering achievement deployed in China. It's describing China's technology as part of what makes the car competitive. That framing is significant, because it changes what the Shanghai announcement actually means. Toyota isn't bringing old ideas into China. It's building a wholly owned structure where China's manufacturing ecosystem, supply chain, and development pace can flow directly into a Toyota-branded product and potentially back into its global operations afterward. Toyota's "with China for China" direction isn't defensive positioning. It's an attempt to close the distance between what Chinese customers want and what Toyota can build, by moving the development process itself to where the customers are. But none of this makes sense without seeing what Toyota was already building in the background before the announcement arrived. Toyota's relationship with BYD is not a simple supplier arrangement. The two companies formed a 50-50 joint venture, BYD Toyota EV Technology, specifically to develop battery electric vehicles, platforms, and components. Toyota brought manufacturing experience and engineering discipline. BYD brought deep EV and battery expertise built inside China's most competitive EV market. Then came the BZ5, and this car quietly revealed how far Toyota was willing to go. The BZ5 combines Toyota engineering with BYD's Blade battery, and launched in China starting at 129,800 yuan, right where China's EV price war gets brutal. Toyota wasn't simply entering China's EV market. It was entering with Chinese battery technology, at Chinese prices, for Chinese customers. Now consider what that actually signals. Toyota, the company whose hybrid system defined automotive efficiency for a generation, choosing BYD's battery for a China market vehicle isn't a compromise. It's an admission that winning in China's EV market requires China's best technology. Now add the BZ7, developed locally by GAC, Guangzhou Toyota, and IEM by Toyota China. BYD technology in one part of Toyota's China strategy, locally developed Toyota EVs in another, and a unified development organization connecting the pieces. And now a 14.6 billion yuan wholly owned Lexus operation in Shanghai, integrating development, production, and battery work under Toyota's direct control. Look at those pieces together, and the picture changes again. BYD technology, Chinese partners, local engineers, local development, Chinese competitive pricing, a wholly owned EV base in Shanghai. These aren't isolated announcements. They are the foundations of a China-centered EV development and manufacturing ecosystem that Toyota has been assembling, quietly, piece by piece, for years. And now that ecosystem has a flagship address. Now imagine what happens when those two worlds operate at full scale. Toyota brings decades of manufacturing experience, a global supplier network, and world-class production. China brings what Toyota increasingly needs in the EV era: an ecosystem built around batteries, software, faster development cycles, and relentless competition. Toyota isn't trying to beat that ecosystem from the outside. It's building inside it. The BZ5 demonstrates the combination already working: BYD Blade battery technology, Toyota vehicle engineering, a starting price of 129,800 yuan. The Shanghai Lexus project takes that logic into premium territory, a wholly owned operation giving Toyota direct control over EV and battery development inside China's supply chain environment, with production beginning in 2027. And then there's the detail that could matter most beyond China's borders. Toyota says what it learns in China could be applied globally. The real threat isn't one Toyota EV competing against one BYD model. It's Toyota learning to operate at China's EV development speed, and eventually applying that capability everywhere it builds cars. That's not a China story anymore. That's a global one. But Toyota hasn't won anything yet. In July 2026, Reuters reported that Toyota and GAC were preparing a software fix affecting roughly 24,000 China-built BZ7 vehicles. Safety-related software issues involving the smart Bluetooth module and thermal management controller. That's a reminder of how difficult it is to compete at China's development speed. Toyota is changing fast. Fast doesn't automatically mean flawless. The combination is powerful. The outcome isn't. And now, the story becomes bigger than Toyota. China's EV market has become one of the world's most advanced. But something even more significant is developing alongside it. China's EV market has become one of the world's most advanced. Reuters reported that Chinese vehicle exports rose 88% year-on-year in July 2026, while domestic sales fell for the 10th consecutive month, showing how critical overseas markets have become for companies like BYD and Geely. That changes what Toyota is really fighting for. This isn't only about protecting share in China. If Toyota can learn from Chinese partners, integrate Chinese technology, and build competitively inside that ecosystem, those lessons don't stay in Shanghai. Toyota itself has said development results from its Chinese operations could eventually be shared globally. So ask yourself, what happens when one of the world's largest traditional automakers stops trying to beat China's EV ecosystem from the outside and starts building from within it instead? Because the next phase of the EV competition may not be Toyota versus China's best, it may be Toyota, rebuilt around China's own methods, changing how the global EV race is fought.